Well, hey everybody, welcome back to Relentless Talk Radio. We have a really cool show today. I'm going to go ahead and let you know who this is. This is Sharon Bates from the Anthony Bates Foundation. She is 12th in the nonprofit organizations that I'm interviewing to be part of the art of fearlessly doing business. So I'm going to put my glasses on so I can see better. Maybe I'll clean them first. So Sharon, tell us who you are and a little bit about what you do.
Well, I'm the CEO and founder of the Anthony Bates Foundation. I started the foundation in 2000 after my son, Anthony, died from sudden cardiac arrest. Unbeknownst to us, he had a heart condition, and we didn't know that. He was a football player at Kansas State University, and he had finished a little workout in July and had a sudden cardiac arrest and died, and that's when we found out he had a heart condition. So I've been doing
cardiac training. At that time, or was he in high school?
He was in college. He went to high school here in Arizona at Mountain Point High School and Phoenix College as well. But then he got picked up at Kansas State University for their football program. And unbeknownst to us, he had a heart problem.
So he's away at college. You're thinking,
yay,
right? And then you get that phone call that no mother ever wants to get.
That's right. That's
wow.
Right. It's a horrible experience.
So how do you go from getting that telephone call, from being the daughter of a mother and father who lost their son? I'm always intrigued by this because I know what that telephone call looks like. It's pretty horrific. It's something that no parent should ever have to experience.
I agree. That's why I do cardiac screenings for kids and for families, because it's not just kids that have heart disease. There are adults out there with heart disease too. And so if you don't know, how are you going to do something about it or get the medication or the treatment you need to prevent a sudden cardiac arrest?
If my friend Jim Stagg just had this happen. He did a big run for CASA, Court-Appointed Special Advocates for Kids. They hiked 11 summits in 49 hours.
Wow.
And a month after he did that, I mean, this guy's in the shape of his life. He does Camelback Mountain every day or every other day during the week. He had just a sudden cardiac arrest. Just a random piece of plaque floating around. Everything else about his heart was perfect, but this can happen, right?
Well, it's electrical. The difference between a heart attack and a sudden cardiac arrest is the sudden cardiac arrest is sudden, obviously, and it's an electrical issue with the heart. The heart beats in an abnormal rhythm, and the only way to get it back on track is to defibrillate it and get you the care you need. Whereas a heart attack, you have blockage in your heart, you have blockage in your veins, and then the muscle starts dying. And that's the difference between the two. You have a little bit of a warning time with a heart attack, but not always. And sometimes heart attacks can lead into sudden cardiac arrest.
Oh, it's crazy.
It is.
So how do you get from that point of devastation to, hey, I think I'm going to start a nonprofit that helps other parents not have to experience this? How does that happen?
Well, sadly, and the great news is I was at Kansas State University. Anthony was there, and Coach Snyder, Bill Snyder, was their head coach at the time, and he was until probably last year when he retired. But he was advocating for a better way to prevent this from happening. And I met some wonderful people on the internet, of all places, that connected me to their organizations and taught me how to do this. At the time when Anthony died, there was only 2 other organizations doing screenings. And now there are hundreds of organizations. But there are 64 million children in the United States. So a couple hundred organizations can't do all of that.
Right.
You still have to advocate for education and better ways to prevent sudden cardiac arrest.
And most parents wouldn't even know that this is on their radar. They have a young person with a healthy heart. Why would they need to get their heart checked, right? I mean,
exactly.
This is not on most parents. There's an education component for the parents too, I would imagine, right?
Right. And heart disease doesn't mean that you stop participating in life. It means that you have to do something first to continue with your life.
Right.
So we don't want people to think we're trying to pull their athletes off the playing field, but at the same time, we want to keep them playing healthily. And how do you do that if you don't know you have something going on?
So what was the biggest challenge you had getting your organization started? Because there's always that first big oh crap, right, moment where you got a challenge. What was it for you guys?
I think for me, it was that it's very lonely on the bandwagon. You know, you don't realize that, that
Yeah.
not everybody has the same cause that you do. And at the time when Anthony died, I just presumed that so many people would jump on the bandwagon and help out, but it's pretty lonely up there. So you got to come back down onto the ground and help people understand the importance of what you're doing and try to get them to advocate for the change and find ways that will help them help you and help them too. So
that's true of anybody who's, I just recently experienced like another bubble of this, right? Where you're doing something, how I do business is a little weird, right? It's a little out of the box, right?
Right.
So when you're kind of, you're not even recreating the wheel, you're actually creating the dang wheel in your case. This wasn't something that people were doing at the time that you started it.
But unfortunately, there are children dying every day. Over 12,000 children die in this country every year. That's 36 a day. That's a whole classroom wiped out, and we're not doing anything about that. We're really upset about these kids on the border, but there's so many other things going on, and these kids aren't making the news, and that's what's the effect, is because they don't make the news, people don't see the fact that kids have heart disease because they're not pushed around in a wheelchair.
Right.
They're regular kids.
I mean, that number, I think the last number I heard for Vietnam vets that are committing suicide every day in this country is 22.
Yeah.
Which is a horrific number.
Yeah.
It's a crazy number. But 36 children a day die of heart disease. This is like a huge problem.
And every 3 days, it just happens to be a high school athlete making the news and underreporting the tragedy of these children dying. So the numbers are really playing havoc to this public health crisis.
Right. And of course, when you've experienced it, you have some urgency around this stuff. And I think people don't get that either because, you've gotten that telephone call and you've stood at the casket. So you know what this looks like and what this feels like. So you don't want another parent to go through that.
It's
really commend you for, when I think about what my parents went through, and my parents did their own advocacy for my brother's issue at the time. But to create an organization is no small feat. Anybody who's created a business or a nonprofit out of nothing knows that it takes a rock star to do that. So I want to thank you for your service. I mean, you're saving lives every day, and it's a huge thing. And I know for certain that your boy's in heaven. He's looking down at you and he's thinking, go mom, that's my mom. She's got this, right? So good for you. And good for Anthony, because it kind of quantifies his life in a different way that maybe it wouldn't have had this not happen, right?
That's
so
true.
How can people get involved? Like, how can people help? Because I know you have different ways that people can donate, and they can also get involved with volunteering, correct?
Well, we love the volunteers because the volunteers make this happen. That's how we learned the importance of people. And at anthonybates.org, they can sign up for a large screening event that we're doing and participate that day and help us with regular things like registration, patient processing, data entry. You don't have to be a medical person to be involved, but there's lots of medical people that are involved too. Medical schools get involved and student nurses get involved, and they learn how to do ECGs. And we have registered participants volunteers that help us with the echocardiogram. So we have lots of ways for people to get involved.
And people can just go to the website and throw you some cash, right? They can actually give you cash, some money, check, right?
Yes, but we also are having a contest starting next month on Save Our Sonograms and Save Our Screenings to help us replace our echocardiogram machines. So get involved and be a part of our program as well.
So I have to say there was 39 charities that applied for the 49 charities that applied for the spot to be able to be the one nonprofit that I'm focusing on for the art of fearlessly doing business. And you, quite frankly, were the first email.
Yay! Because I'm hungry.
You're hungry, and
I will scream for food.
That was one of my questions. Like, I want a nonprofit that I'm working with to be really hungry for what they're doing, like really have a drive for it. So I want to thank you for being that first email, because when I got it, I was like, yay, they're responding. How cool is that? Yeah. And you were up against some pretty heavy nonprofits, but I have to say you won out based upon your enthusiasm and your go-get-itness. So I just want to say thank you for that, for being the example of that. So how this works is we're going to be voting on who the three nonprofits are that Relentless Talk Radio community will be voting on. So, you know, share. Everybody who's watching this video and this idea resonates with them, share this video, because what I'll be looking at is the amount of activity on the video and how the nonprofit is interacting with the video as well. So, you know, share and tell people about it. You know, if you have a school teacher, you know, kids are back at school, you know, share this video with school teachers. It's a good way to get parents, you know, to know about things. And then on August 13th, I'll be announcing the finalists, and from the 13th to the 20th, we'll be voting. So people, if the Anthony Bates Foundation ends up being one of the three that's being voted on, you know, vote away. You know, it's really tough because all 13 of the charities are super cool. And so I just actually bought I have the link on my website, MicalizziEnterprises.com, but I bought fearlesslyGivingBack.com this morning. So later on this afternoon, fearlesslyGivingBack.com will forward to all the charities that are part of this, and you can watch all the videos. And this video will be there on YouTube and also on Facebook. So that's our story, and we'll stick it to it, Sharon. I really thank you very much for coming on board and for being so relentless about your mission. Tell everybody the website again and your telephone number so they get a hold of you if they want to donate.
Yes, please. It's anthonybates.org, and our phone number is 602-482-5606.
Thank you very much for what you're doing. It's really important work, and I'm really proud of you.
We're saving lives, 358 and counting.
That's awesome. That is just awesome. Have a good rest of your day. And everybody, in that segment 2 is coming up with with Chris Bartoletto, who's a personal trainer who's going to talk an awful lot about nutrition and staying on track and not getting on kind of bad diets. So he's up next. Thanks a lot, Sharon.
Thanks. Bye-bye.